Bachira, my ankle breaking specialist, that's ABS. SOS, step over step. Am I gonna go right? Am I gonna go left? Whatever you guess, you lose that bet. Cause the house always wins when I roulette. I'm schizophrenic, I got crazy feet. It's not coincidence. Like a bad GPS, one fate gets sent.
Okay guys, welcome back to Everdream. Today we are going to discuss dribbling, starting with its definition, as it has come to my attention that some fans are unfamiliar with the concept. I say this because of an experience I had with one of my Reddit posts, in which I was discussing one of the few times Isagi pulled off a successful dribble, only to face backlash from a few people who insisted that Isagi did not, in fact, pull off a dribble. I am, of course, talking about his 1v1 encounter with Bachira during the NEL. The fans claimed that because Isagi used a simple feint and not 1,000 step-overs or some flashy lift, he didn't, in fact, dribble Bachira. Yeah, they actually said that. Okay guys, listen. Dribbling doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't have to have any special name to it or fancy aura behind it. Dribbling is simply moving with the ball. That's it. You don't even have to be actively getting past a defender. As long as you move while in possession of the ball, you are dribbling. Isagi dribbled Bachira during the NEL. It wasn't fancy, but it was a dribble. There are many ways to dribble after all, and while we won't be looking at individual styles, we will be considering the two categories of dribbling. These are initiative-based dribbling and style-based dribbling. We'll start with style-based dribbling. This entails the manner in which one dribbles, which can be either flexible or rigid. You see, on average, every great dribbler possesses good speed, ball control, imagination, agility, and a keen sense of timing. However, the levels of proficiency in these parameters vary from player to player. Some players, for example, might only be fairly fast and agile, but possess incredible ball control and an exceptional aptitude for timing their attacks. Others may only have a decent sense of timing, but might be extremely fast, with great endurance. Though they all possess the tools needed to be great dribblers, their areas of strength differ, and this difference directly influences the manner in which they dribble. Which brings us right back to the types of dribbling styles: flexible and rigid. A flexible style of dribbling favors technique over raw power, so parameters like imagination and ball control tend to be areas of strength, as they allow one to more easily pull off the kind of trickery that is necessary in getting past defenders, as those who rely on this style usually don't possess the speed and power to beat players one-on-one without severely throwing them off balance. Now, the exact nature of trickery employed by these players ranges from basic step-overs and feints to more unorthodox methods like Lorenzo's zombie dribbling or Kiyora's unique breakdancing style. Lorenzo and Kiyora being prime examples of players who favor a flexible style of dribbling, with other similar players, including Bachira, Ness, Rin, and Isagi, to name a few. In contrast to all this, the rigid style of dribbling favors raw power over technique. So, parameters such as speed, endurance, and in some cases, even raw strength are where these dribblers are strongest, as this entire style leverages superior athleticism to get past defenders. That's not to say they don't use any trickery. They do. But the moves used to create confusion in the minds of opposing players are far simpler, and are usually in the form of simple feints or chops. After all, those who rely on this style can't always bamboozle their opponents, so instead, they do just enough to create indecision, so as to more easily overwhelm them with their raw speed and power. A prime example of this kind of player is found in Karasu, who utilizes both ball-holding skills and simple feints to evade defenders. And I use him as my prime example to highlight my earlier statement regarding rigid dribblers not exclusively being speed types, as they can be power types as well. Turns out muscling past an opponent while keeping possession is yet another form rigid dribbling can take. So players like Tokimitsu, Grim, and Kunigami fall under the umbrella of rigid dribblers, alongside speed-type players like Baru, Yukimiya, Zantetsu, and of course, Chigiri. Moving on to the second way this series categorizes dribbling, and we arrive at initiative-based dribbling, which is all about one's preference for taking action, either by acting or reacting. If one were to make the first move, they would have chosen to act and perform what is known as active dribbling, an approach that entails being the aggressor, forcing defenders into being reactive, and dictating both the nature and pace of the duel. On the other hand, choosing to be reactive is known as counter-dribbling, and this approach forces the defender to make the first move, which may seem like a bad idea, but is actually a clever way to apply trickery. You see, when a dribbler suddenly halts, most reflexively try to steal the ball, which is predictable. So predictable that one can time their dribble as soon as the attempt is made. And, with the defender already committed to the steal, there is no way for them to course correct in the moment they are outmaneuvered, thus making this particular approach extremely effective should the defender fall for the bait. And because it bypasses lengthy duels or strenuous movement, it is rather energy efficient as well. But it does have downsides, as the defender can gain the edge or outright the steal in a duel should they not fall for the bait and therefore not overcommit to the defense. It is also all but useless in situations where capitalizing on the momentum of a play is essential, like during a fast break. And with that, we have succeeded in explaining dribbling, along with its two categories. It's important to note that every player's unique style can be classified into both of those two categories. For example, Rin Itoshi and Kiora are both active and flexible style dribblers. Yukimiya and Barou are similar active types, but favor rigid dribbling. Sae, Bachira and Chigiri use counter-dribbling, though Sae and Bachira are flexible types and Chigiri is a rigid type. But, despite all I've said, do keep in mind that these categories simply label a player's preferred playstyle, and that some players actually change styles and tactics to fit the situation. For example, Chigiri has been known to use both the active and counteractive style of dribbling interchangeably. Bachira, Sae, and most other counter-dribblers can also do the same. This is similarly true for style-based dribbling as well, as some flexible players can play rigidly, just like we've seen Rin do on occasion. And the vice versa is also possible, as we've observed Barou, who is a rigid type, bust out a bit of flair every now and then. It is at this point that I would like to end my video. In truth, I did have something else I wanted to touch on, but this video has already spent too long in the lab, so I'll just table it and maybe circle back another time. For now, the information I provided should be adequate. If you feel the same way, please hit that like button. I would remind you guys, the next video I will make regarding bluelock will finally be the promised Nagi video I keep hyping up, so make sure you are subscribed as well to get notified when it drops. Before that fateful video though, I would release some Devil May Cry content, and I do have some news to share concerning the franchise, as we recently got an official update confirming more Devil May Cry games are, in fact, in development. So we all have that to look forward to in the coming years. And that's all I got. For now, anyway. Until we meet again, stay safe.